Hello and welcome to a new video here on my channel, here at commaik. Today I want to finally fix my destroyed gabion baskets. Repair. These baskets were damaged by fallen, trees were severely damaged, and how I will get everything back on track, how I will do that, bring everything back into line and ensure everything is perfectly aligned. You'll see it right away. You will definitely notice it immediately. Stay tuned for more updates. As you may have seen in some other videos, my small gabion terrace here is severely damaged. You can see in the background the remains of a beech approximately 30 meters high that was felled, fallen into these stone baskets here. At this point, there was a large branch that had gotten into the basket, drilled, and these 3 gabion baskets were indeed severely affected. The baskets themselves have held up, as you can see. Nothing fell out here, no stones that were anywhere to the left and right have fallen onto the lawn. Nevertheless, much has been severely affected, damaged. You can see here that the wires are severely bent. My original goal was to remove the stones and try to put the whole thing back together to pull up the height. Again, use a board or something similar to drive it in so that everything will be straight again. But I have already moved away from this thought. Long goodbye. My goal today is to repair these baskets, uninstall, remove the stones, and simply replace them with 3 new ones. To place baskets, my problem with the whole story, it is simply that this entire wall is built in one piece. This means that if I want to uninstall this basket here, meaning take it out, I would need to unscrew the spiral that you see here, and then the stability of this basket next to it would be damaged. So I would have to do the same with it, dismantle. When I dismantle this, I come automatically to this spiral. If I take this out, I would also have to dismantle this basket. You see, the whole thing would extend to the end of the gabion wall to go. And it is not my goal to dismantle this entire wall to dismantle. Finally, I have over here another 30 baskets to fill, and at some point it has to be enough. So now I will do one thing, prepare the ground here, my lawn as far as possible, prepared so that it cannot take any damage. In particular, my sprinkler that is placed at this position, I will lay out a sheet here. After that, I will do it piece by piece. Dismantle these 3 severely damaged baskets. Afterwards, I will see if I can find identical gabion baskets to replace them. Can place inside. I have now generously prepared the area laid out with a tarp, and will now take apart the gabions. For this, I will use a bolt cutter and will cut here at the top piece by piece. Cut the wires piece by piece. The left basket, I will leave this side completely intact and instead do it piece by piece here. Remove a piece of the upper grid. Also on the back, I will take it out to first remove the lid of the damaged part. The same will be done with this basket here. With the 3rd basket, I need to see if there might still be something to salvage without me I have to take it apart. In case of doubt, I would also have to do this here. Remove the upper grids. The upper grid has been removed. As you can see here, the wires were simply cut off with the bolt cutter. The whole thing is still quite rigid overall indeed. That means the original plan I had was to somehow lift this whole thing up, to pull, and then with a timber and the sledgehammer to hammer it in again. I believe that will definitely not happen. I won't be able to avoid dismantling everything here. These 2 baskets, or maybe even all 3 baskets, to set them up anew. I have now removed the stones from the 1st basket and placed them on. The tarpaulin is spread out here on the side so that the workspace is not restricted. I have now taken a break in between, considers maybe just bending it back into place after all. Now let me just relax and kick back against it just a little bit more. There can indeed be a certain build-up pressure to bend everything back into shape. However, I am not sure, simply indecisive. The damages might be more extensive. Perhaps some individual welds have cracked, so that at some point, I just don't really like the fact that the rust is coming in there. I will completely remove the baskets after all. What you see down here is the dirt and the earth that come through these broken spots. was brought in and has accumulated down here. That means I don't see at all. I no longer know what stones I am pulling out here. That's why I will now empty this second basket as well. And then I will start with the front grid here on the side should also be cut apart with the bolt cutter. And to remove the grids so that I can then comfortably, efficiently and easily preparing the subsurface can be for the new baskets. I have now emptied the second basket as much as I could from above. After a while, it will be fine. Nice in the back. You see there? There are also large heavy stones in there. I won't lift them over here now. Instead, I will do one thing now. I will take the bolt cutter and then, as you can clearly see, it will visibly and gradually separate along the front here. I will remove this down here as far away as I can get to the maximum extent possible. So, I have just very thoroughly and entirely cleared this area down to that specific point over there. Everything is cleared here too, but you see if I'm really pulling very hard on it, but there isn't much to gain yet. Therefore, I will now go down again with the bolt cutter, also cut the wires to get properly close to safely, to remove the remaining laying gravel. The baskets are both thoroughly cleared. I have completely raked the soil as far as possible. Still raked free. You can see that the grid is now visible. The height should... Yes, in the end everything will also match and fit. I was here back then. A layer of approximately 5 to 10 centimeters of frost protection below. Or laying gravel applied so that the stones are carefully and evenly. Do not crush the grid. That makes it a bit more difficult now. To get all of this out first, it is done. The front grille has been... I should be able to cut it quite flat. This is the first crossbar here. I am not that far over here on this side. There is still too much soil and too much dirt. There I have the whole thing just above the second front strut. Cut off. Something occurred, something that I wanted to avoid at all costs. You can see it here as I go up in perspective. The slope, it has slipped up here. It has been like this for the last few days and weeks. It has rained heavily. I think it's around 50 liters. Certainly been. And after I then this crossbar here at the front I have cut through and the support broke away. The slope back here has settled. This whole area back here is just piled up. There is some old soil and construction debris. It has been filled in. It all used to be a level area. Of course it is now sagging. This means that a bit of urgency is required here. At the moment it is still holding. My goal is to install 2 new baskets directly here. Be flush at the back. Should, or rather the front should be flush. This means they would. Now standing in this soil, I can't get it in at all. That means for me, I still have to move the stones a bit up here. Take back the stones I have stored above, then I need to digging away the soil that is threatening to sink here a bit more generously, so that I can then place the baskets in. This is of course annoying because I will definitely lose another half. I lose an hour, but there is no other way. I have no idea how I should have done this otherwise. With a small shovel, I have now gradually cleared everything back here piece by piece. Cleared and dug out, however, it has repeatedly slipped back down. Therefore, I carefully helped myself as follows. I wrapped a tension strap around up there, tied the trunk and then pulled it down here to secure the grid properly. The whole thing was first pulled back so that I can now do this in piece. I can set up the 2 baskets. I have the base grids, middle grids and side grids. I have already laid them down. I will now completely assemble the baskets. Except for the lids, they are not closed as it still needs to be filled. And then I have to somehow try in order to successfully and safely get the 2 baskets into the gap there in a very careful and deliberate manner. Let's see. That was a brief insight into how to quickly and easily assemble such a basket, like this. As you can clearly see, these spirals are obviously just screwed in from the top, just so that everything is taken along. However, one must be careful that the order is observed. So for the middle part, there are really 3 pieces come together. If one assembles the baskets in one piece, it may happen that in between these moments, one suddenly realizes that something important has been forgotten. These 2 baskets are now firmly connected to each other, and that is already holding. I am now trying to place the baskets into this gap. It is done. I have managed to get the gabions into the gap. But as you can see here on the right, it was not as easy as planned. The space in between was simply too tight, and there is a minimum of 3 to 4 centimeters. There was a lack of space. When I placed the gabions there, were particularly these middle struts so strongly under pressure that I would have fitted a spiral in. What did I do? What I wanted to avoid? I have now also started the 3rd one. Emptying the basket, I gradually removed the stones from the front side. I worked on the opportunity, then also piece by piece the bump that was here inside. Pulled, and if I just think about it now at the page in the perspective along films, it is not perfect. So a 2nd one. I wouldn't place a basket on top here anymore. That would be too risky for me. The load I have here is more than enough. It also looks significantly better than before. I can live with that. What comes next? You see here, actually the whole part is still under extreme tension. I had to insert this spiral at all to get strong piece by piece. Cable ties were introduced. I first did that with the water pump pliers, compressed and tightened with the cable ties so that I could first focus on the measure where the spiral fits. Then you can see here at the back, when I go down slightly from the perspective, that from the height I am approximately 1 field higher, so 10 centimeters above what I now I have with the other gabions. I am still not sure if I should do that. Now just leave it higher and arrange it a bit visually. Here, the grape plant will grow back anyway later. Trellises and similar structures come into play, or option number 2, the more beautiful one. Variant, I have the whole basket here now, just secured it, each time 1 segment up, and then I could later simply cut off the top row right here, just like that. Here at the front, just cut off the top row, and then I would have overall back to a level. Over here on the other side, tries to get the grid a little straighter. It's not perfect, fiddly task. I didn't have time for that today, no longer in the mood. But if I just take the height here and go over this, if I go over there, I only encounter a field of difference. That means here it is. Not so much anymore. So I have to decide now, do I move? I will also raise it here by another grid section so that I have a total of 10. I have centimeters here along the entire length so that I can take this with me. Could it be? Then I would also have a height for the entire wall again. Or what do you think? I have no idea. Let's just see how I do that. I will now use the spacers now. Insert and then already place a few large stones at the bottom so that first of all, it holds. And then I have to say, after a few hours here, take out these stones, dig away the soil, and then these baskets. I definitely took about 2 hours to bring it in. As you can see, the number of stones has decreased somewhat. I have finally managed to overcome myself. To fill the baskets a little, the right one and the middle one, the spacers, are also incorporated. I am then 30 centimeters in that context, respectively from above and below, or from the left and right. For some reason, here, the spacers no longer fit, which means that the components are unable to properly align, because the back had also bent a bit more. So I did one thing, I simply rebent the spacers. You can see it here at this point. It has been bent back so that here in the front remains intact. It doesn't look perfect, I admit that. But once the grape plant has grown along here, then this edge down here should be fine. That had inevitably arisen because I can no longer keep up, and it can't get any better. Just not. But everything will grow together then when the grape plant here climbs. The alternative would have been to build the entire wall. It literally goes back there. It is actually built in a composite structure. On this page we have the same game with the addition that here the gabion wall is directly embedded in the ground. A total of 15 baskets that, I have to say, I was certainly here at this very moment. Just no desire or also no strength anymore to take all the baskets out of here. I think I can still be satisfied with the result. New day, new luck. I have almost completely finished the stones, sorted into these 3 baskets. You can see this quite well here. The fronts are not so perfectly done now, but I have to deal with that now. Live simply. I can live with that too. Up here is the whole thing now. We're stacked as cleanly as possible. The stones should also not be too many are left over. What remains then goes into the baskets that I want to fill that in down there. The tractor was here earlier, brought me 25 tons of the finest granite stone. Even there it goes. I will continue shortly. Here I am doing one now. I will take the 2 new ones. Cut the baskets with the bolt cutter. Exactly 10. I will take away centimeters so that I can reach the level of the other baskets. You can see that very nicely here. The basket has indeed been slightly postponed, but if I remove this brace and that brace, then this here is the new level, a little deeper than here. But here I will insert the spirals. Cut off with the bolt cutter here, then the remaining stones will be placed on top, and then the lid can already be put on. Then the matter here is settled. As you can see, I have now cut the edges with the bolt cutter. I removed 10 centimeters in height, then I placed the grid on top too. Then to get approximately the height of how far I can fill the stones. The same here at this gabion, at this stone basket. Here too, the grid is now secured. I will then additionally reinforce the separated areas with working with zinc spray. I'm not sure if that's really the case. Starts to rust, then I simply take this spray and spray it on, the edges on top, so that I do not produce any rust spots here. Then I will now insert the spirals here. In case of emergency, hold it together here with the pliers to relieve the tension. Then it will be carefully and gradually filled from above with the gravel. It is simply thrown in here at the top and then fills it up, remaining empty spaces. It is done. I have replaced the destroyed baskets through 2 new baskets. I placed the new baskets directly in the row where the others were also without me having to take the entire wall apart. I really only took out these 2 gabions. It doesn't really look perfect right now. I have to admit that. You can then see the transitions here. This area is protruding, but this area here, in this region, will grow back with grape plants. The stability is definitely ensured. Nothing is shaking here anymore. If there are better ideas, I haven't heard them so far. Not found. But write to me in the comments about one tip or another. I would really be happy. Of course, I also appreciate a subscription and a like. If you want to know how it continues, especially with these 35, the additional baskets down there, which will be filled with granite, remain sub to my channel. See you next time. Take care.